In this video, we are going to look at the basics of programming language in relation to virtual reality. There are different concepts which we will cover in this series. Starting from Hello World program, then we'll be looking at functions and literals, variables, etc. etc. So without further ado, let's get to the video. So the first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a Unity project, so you can create an empty Unity project. The version which you're using might be slightly different, but that is okay for this video because what we are dealing with is almost common for all versions of Unity. As we can see, we have the very basic standard Unity scene where we have our main camera and then we have our directional light, and pretty much that's all we have inside the scene. Now, in order for us to start learning the scripting, we need to understand how scripts work in Unity. The programming language which we use in Unity is C#. C# is more of a common language, and Unity makes use of the C# language in order for our scripting purposes. Or when we want to use scripting in Unity, we need to associate it with some sort of a game object. There is no straight single way where you could just drag the script and drop it inside and you could just go with it. There will always be a game object which is associated with the script. So in order to get that working, what we are going to do is we are going to create a empty game object, and we are going to name that script game object. You can name it whatever you want. It's actually not dependent on the name. It is just for our references. Now, why we created this empty game object is purely for the purpose of attaching all our scripts so that it can be easily accessed. Again, like I said, in Unity you cannot have just the script added to the scene. You need to have some sort of a game object associated with it. Now we've created our empty game object called script game object. You can position it at 0, 0, 0. It really doesn't matter. Now once you're done with creating the game object, there are a couple of ways in which you could actually add the script to the game object. One method is that you can actually select the game object, the script game object here, and you can click on add component, and at the bottom you will find a new script option. You could do it this way, or you could do it little organized by means of going to the asset folder and create a folder called scripts. Again, this can be called anything, and inside that I'm going to again right click and choose create C# script. Now this is going to ask me for the script name. Now like I said, we are going to create a Hello World program, so I am going to name this as Hello World. As you can see, the moment I hit enter, Unity, what Unity does is it has created a template. It has some sort of code on the right hand side here, if you can notice, which gets created by default. In order for us to edit the script, all we need to do is double click on the script and it will open up in your text editor. Now if you have installed Visual Studio along with the Unity setup, you might get Visual Studio IDE opened up here. Now what I have here is the Sublime Text, which is almost like a plain text editor, and I'm using this purposefully to show you that you don't need an IDE to actually program. You could use as simple as a notepad also to do it. As you can see, there are like sort of 18 lines which has been created by Unity, and it is default. So no matter what name you give and you create, you will get all these 18 basic lines. Let's look at it one by one and see what these 18 lines are basically. So the first 3 are imports. So any program you create, there will be some sort of predefined commands, you can call it, which you would use, and those can be accessed only when you import them into the program which you're using. Now when we look at line number 5, you can see these are the line numbers on the left. So when you look at the line number 5, it basically talks about public class hello world mono behavior. Now what do we mean by class here is class is a collection of functions. You have a class called hello world which we created because that's the script name which we have given. So inside that hello world we have, or we can define certain functions. Now By default, we have void start and void update. I'll tell you what these are. Void start is basically a function which runs when the script runs for the very first time. So let's assume that you've programmed it and you're starting the game, right? Like when you're hitting the play button on Unity right here, when you're hitting the play button here, with the very first instance the project runs, that is what the void start talks about. So this can be anything from assigning certain things or checking certain things before the program starts, etc., etc. The next one is void update. Again, this is little specific to Unity engine, and in void update what happens is it is called once per frame, as in general our games run like, or our softwares run like anywhere between 30 to 60 fps, right? So it will be called, say if it is 60 fps, that is 60 frames per second, then this specific code which is inside this void update is going to be called 60 times. So it is going to be running 60 times every single second. Again, what is the purpose of this is you could actually try to keep some sort of a validation, some sort of a check saying, okay, did the user click on this, or did the user click on that, or did he move here, did he move there? So this kind of validation parts can happen in the void update. But other than this, if you notice, there are some brackets here and there. So let me just explain what that is. So whenever you have a class or a function, you basically encapsulate them inside brackets. Now this, the moment we have this public class hello world, you see a bracket here on the line number 6, and you could see its closing pair on line number 18, which tells the compiler that all of this content starting from line number 7 till line number 17 belongs within the hello world class. That is what this bracket indicates. So whatever is inside this bracket belongs to that specific class. Right here we don't have anything much, so it's just pretty blank, but we are going to make use of this. So remember, I was talking about creating a hello world program, so that is exactly what we are going to do. But for us to achieve this, we need to get to know about something called a console window. Now, what is console window? Any programming language you take, there will be some sort of a debugging method. A debug is, as the name says, debugging. So there is some sort of a problem which we want to solve, and in order for us to solve, we need to know the insides and outsides of how the program is working. And for us to know that, we need to have some sort of an output option, and consoles or debug windows are the ones which provides that feature. Now in Unity it is called console. How to find this console window in Unity? Ideally it will be at the bottom. Now you can see that there is a project window right here, a project tab right here, and then next to that I have a console tab. Clicking on it will give me the console window, but in case you're not able to find that, you could always go to window and choose panels and choose console, and that will bring up the console window if it was closed. Now console is a place where we are going to provide output, so we are going to go back to the program, and I'm going to tell you how to get an output on this one. So the idea of this program is to put out a message saying hello world, right? So the way to do it is, first I'm going to use a command called debug.log. Now you could see that it is basically I'm using the round brackets, which indicates that this is some sort of a function, and like I said, I want to print a specific message. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide what I want to print. So I want it to print hello world from C# through Unity, right? So this is the message which I want to print. You could see the matching pair closing here, which tells the compiler that all of these content belongs to the debug log function, right? There is one more element which we need to take care of, is after you finish every line of code, make sure to have a semicolon at the end. Now I've done this, I'm going to save it. The moment you save it and you switch back to Unity, the Unity will compile the code and see if you have made any error. If that is the case, then again, like I said, whatever the problem you have, you will be seeing it in the console window. Now fortunately we don't have any problem with this script, but let me create a problem, and we can see how that is displayed there. Now let's assume I didn't add the semicolon. I've just typed debug log and then my message, and then I left it over there. Now what happens is when the compiler starts to compile it, it sort of gets confused, saying that okay, you haven't finished this line and you're moving on to the next. I don't know what to do. So when I switch back to Unity, now it is going to run the compiling again, and there you see the error message thrown on the console window with a red color exclamation mark saying timestamp, basically 11:29:34. Then it shows you the script location where it is located, and it gives you the line number also, which says 10:57. So 10th line is where we have problem. Yes, correct, 10th line. And in the 10th line it says error CS1002 semicolon expected. Now CS1002 is the error code, so just in case you are not able to understand what the error is, then you could always Google these codes and they'll always relate it to some sort of a Stack Overflow or the official documentation, and you will be able to figure out what or why you're stuck over there. Now it is saying that it has been expecting a semicolon, but then you didn't do a semicolon. I'm going to add the semicolon and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to come back to Unity, and that is going to reload the script, recompile the script, and hopefully the error message goes away. Yes, it went. But sometimes what happens is when you compile, there are multiple errors, and sometimes it might not clear, so you can very well click on this clear button. But remember, if the errors are still persisting, then it is going to come back again and again. So make sure to fix your error and then come back to the console window and click on clear, and you should be good to go. Now we are done with the basic script writing part of it, but if we run the program, it will still not work. Why? Because we have created the script, we have created the game object, but we never assigned the script to the game object. Again, to emphasis, Unity cannot run scripts directly. You need to add it to the game object in order for it to consider it as a script for the game or the program. So I have selected the script game object here, and I'm going to use the add component. There are a couple of ways to do it. One is just drag and drop the script onto it, but I want to show you this method where you can just click on add component and you could search for the script which we created. In this case, it is hello world. The moment I type hello, I get this hello world script right there. Hit enter, and now that's going to add the script to your game object. When you select this, you could see the hello world, and it has a tick mark and it's a script, and it shows you the script file. When you double click on it, it'll actually open up the script for you, so you could see that it says hello world from C# through Unity. That's pretty much what you need to do in order for you to create a game object specifically dedicated for the scripting. Create a script, have some sort of a basic code in it, save it, add it to the game object. Now let's hit play and we'll see the output in the console window. So the moment I hit play, what we can see here is actual message which I had typed in the debug log function, which is hello world from C# through Unity. Now that's pretty much the basics when it comes to how to create a script and how to add it to the game object and how to run it in Unity. So if you haven't subscribed till this point, this is the right time to do it. And if you have any questions, feel free to add it in the comment box. I would try my best to answer those questions, and see you in the next video.